Hey, what's up, everyone? This is going to be a pay-per-view rewind for the WWF in the year 2000. I think 2000 was an awesome year. I really wanted to go back and watch these shows again. And, they really had a great combination of everything, star power, storylines, technical wrestling, tag teams. So, yeah, if you haven't had a chance to watch, all of these shows, definitely try to get your hands on them. So, yeah, so we have the Royal Rumble of 2000. This actually took place in Madison Square Garden from New York City. And, this is a great Royal Rumble show. I think this had one of the better undercards in Royal Rumble history. However, I'm not really a big fan of the Royal Rumble match. This is when The Rock actually won the Royal Rumble. But yeah, you had Kurt Angle and Taz. This is Taz's debut in the WWF, coming straight out of ECW. You had that conversation with Paul Heyman on the way to the arena. He talked about that in the ECW documentary, and him and Angle. They had a really fun, short and sweet match. Taz actually went over and choked Angle out. So this is the start of the whole crybaby Kurt Angle thing. Angle claimed that he really didn't lose the match, so he was still undefeated. And Taz was really underutilized. They got off to a strong start with Taz, in my opinion, but for some reason they just didn't follow up on it. So next up we had the Dudley Boyz and the Hardy Boyz in the tables match. This was a lot of fun. They really set the tone for some of the great hardcore tag team matches that they would have that year. And some people might say it's a spot fest, but the crowd was going crazy. This is when Jeff Hardy actually did the Swanton Bomb. I think it was off of the pay-per-view set design, and then went through one of the Dudleys through the table. So yeah, just a really fun match. Then you had Jericho, Chyna, Hardcore Holly. This is when the fans started turning on Chyna. Yeah, I think a lot of people were sick of Chyna. Or actually, it's people kind of sick of Jericho stuck in a feud with Chyna, so kind of backfired on Chyna. They were just, booing every single thing she did. I wasn't a big fan of Chyna at all. I thought she sucked in the ring. I thought she sucked on the mic. Definitely, everyone wanted to see Jericho just break away and start something else. So next up, we had Triple H versus Cactus Jack, the street fight for the WWF title. This was awesome. As a lot of you guys know, this was an epic match. It really was. A lot was at stake here. If you read Foley's book, both guys were under a lot of pressure because management was, wanted them to deliver an awesome match because, it had been a while since, we had two guys in the main event other than Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. So, the pressure was definitely on. I know Foley was under a lot of pressure to lose weight. He busted his ass in the gym every day doing cardio just to, slim down for this match. In some ways, this is pretty much Triple H's, first, amazing match, and I think Triple H even said that this possibly is his favorite match of all time. So, I mean, they just rocked the house. This is a great feud, great build up, awesome street fight. It's really remembered for, Foley's two big bumps on the tacks. He took a backdrop on the thumbtacks, and Triple H actually pedigreed him on the tacks. This is when the thumbtack spots actually meant something. So that was great. And then, Foley took some vicious chair shots to the head. Triple H got hit in the head with the barbed wire bat. And actually, Triple H, you got to give him credit because he actually wrestled this match after he was suplexed on a wooden pallet. A piece of the wood actually was sticking into his calf. So yeah, both guys just went through hell. This really was the start of Triple H's amazing run in the year 2000. This is when Triple H was the man. This is when he was hungry. This is when he wanted to prove that he was that he was one of the best wrestlers in the world. So next up we have the Royal Rumble match. Like I said, I wasn't a big fan of this Rumble. I think some of the talent that was in didn't get great reactions. The match really dragged. It just, I just think it was kind of poorly executed. I thought it was very predictable. It came down to The Rock and Big Show. Everyone expected it. The crowd was even chanting for The Rock. They really wanted to see The Rock come out, and they were getting frustrated that it took him so long to come out. And, the finish was, it just looked kind of rehearsed to me. It just didn't look anything, it wasn't a spectacular Rumble match. Big Show actually technically did win the match because The Rock's feet actually hit the mat first. So they used that as controversy to set up their No Way Out match. But, the bottom line is you still have a really good undercard, and you do have a strong Royal Rumble winner in The Rock. So overall, it was still a great show. Next up, we have No Way Out of 2000. Headlined by the Hell in a Cell match between Foley and Triple H. But, it had a pretty solid undercard. I mean, it was a good show. There's something about this show that I don't like. Maybe it's the crowd or something. I don't know. some of these matches just gave you absolutely nothing, but it was still a solid show. Yeah, Jericho and Angle for the Intercontinental Championship. This is when Angle became the Eurocontinental Champion. It was a good match. I think Angle and Jericho, they never really had the chance to go out there and fully explore what they could do together. It's a nice combination, but it's something that I always thought, could have been a lot better. This match featured one of the sickest Angle slams ever. The way they set it up, I thought it just came out awesome. I thought Chyna's interference definitely took away from the match, but it's still a good win. This is definitely Angle on the verge of breaking out and trying to improve pay-per-view by pay-per-view. So he was still a little bit green at the time. I would say Jericho was definitely the better wrestler at that time. So yeah. Next up we have the Hardy Boys and Edge and Christian. This is really, really fun. This is when Terry actually turned on the Hardys and screwed them out of the match. It wasn't spectacular, but it was a fun tag match between both teams. Actually had Benoit's pay-per-view debut with the Radicalz. They took on Too Cool and Rikishi. That was a really fun match. The Rock and Big Show, #1 contendership for WrestleMania. Shane McMahon actually came out and screwed the Rock. I thought that was really well done. I thought Shane McMahon was. I was always a big fan of Shane McMahon. I think the Shane McMahon Rock feud is definitely one of the most underrated feuds in WWF history. So next up we had Triple H versus Cactus Jack McFoley, the Hell in a Cell. The Hell in a Cell match. This was awesome. This is probably the most underrated Hell in a Cell match. It's really overlooked because of the the Taker Mankind match, but you can't deny it. I thought the match was crisp. I think Foley and Triple H had amazing chemistry. Foley actually fell off he was actually hanging off the cell and actually fell through a table. Then eventually, he actually lit the barbed wire bat on fire, and then eventually he took a backdrop on the top of the cell and actually went through the cell and actually went through the mat. And Triple H actually pedigreed him, and a lot was at stake here. This is actually, if Foley lost the match, he would be forced to retire. So Foley was actually retired for the time being. So, yeah, just awesome Hell in a Cell. A really, really solid show, No Way Out 2000. So next up we have WrestleMania 2000. And, this show, I still thought it was very good. For a WrestleMania, considering the talent that was on considering the talent that the company had at the time, I think you can consider this show a failure. Really, a very, very lackluster undercard. The show just took forever to get going. However, though, Edge and Christian versus the Dudleys and the Hardys, the Triangle Ladder match. I mean, this match definitely stole the show. I mean, this is like the first time all three teams went out there and just rocked the house. I mean, everyone knows how awesome it was. Jeff Hardy swanton bomb off the top of the ladder. Edge and Christian actually won the tag team championships. It was just an awesome match. And then you also had Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, and Chris Jericho with the 2 out of 3 falls for the European title and the Intercontinental title. I thought it was a pretty innovative concept. I know Jericho said in his book that he hates the match because the crowd was dead, but you can't deny it. I think if you took Angle, Benoit, and Jericho, and maybe if this match had happened a year later and you gave them time, this could have been the greatest triple threat match of all time. These are my three of my favorite wrestlers going out there. I still thought it was a really fast-paced match. I thought it was fun. Angle actually lost both belts, so they further enhanced Angle's character. That was great. Benoit actually won the IC title, and Jericho finished the match off with the Lion Salt to win the European title. I still thought it was a 4-star match. Just really good stuff. I thought the commentary was really fun as well with Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler. And then the main event, we had Triple H, Rock, Cactus Jack, and Big Show, the Fatal 4-Way. A lot of people hate this match, and it was kind of a clusterfuck. That's kind of the expression that people use for this match is clusterfuck. But it was still fun though. When it came down to Triple H and Rock, when they did get the chance to go out there and go at each other, it was really entertaining. There was a McMahon in every corner. This is actually when Vince actually turned on The Rock. Yeah, so Vince McMahon turned on The Rock 2 WrestleManias in a row. Not a lot of people really talk about the feud that Rock and Vince had. This is more about just Triple H and the McMahon family, versus The Rock. It's just a way to get to that. So, Foley actually they brought him back, and the Big Show, I guess, I think the reason they wanted Big Show in the main event is because I heard they really spent a lot of money on him to get him from WCW, so obviously they want to capitalize on their investment. And if you're going to do a triple threat, you might as well just bring Foley back, considering how hot he was at the time, coming off of those 2 awesome matches with Triple H. So I had no problem with this being a 4-way, looking back in retrospect. But I think everyone knows, Triple H versus The Rock. would have been a lot better. But at the same time, it definitely, the aftermath is really cool with, Rock doing the People's Elbow on Stephanie, and it really set the tone for the whole Triple H and Rock feud that would take place in Backlash and Judgment Day and the rest of the spring. So next up, we have Backlash of 2000. Yeah, from top to bottom, this is one of the best WWF pay-per-views of all time. I can't deny it. I mean, it was really, really good. I mean, probably one of the most underrated. I would say, if you're going to use the expression pleasant surprise, like what's the biggest pleasant surprise in WWF history as far as matches goes, I think this got to be one of them. Scotty 2 Hotty versus Dean Malenko. I don't think anyone expected this match to be that good. It didn't even get that much time, but it definitely did deliver. It was fun. It had great technical wrestling. It just, the crowd loved it. So yeah, definitely check it out if you haven't. Definitely one of the hidden gems in WWF history. Like I said, a lot of stuff was fun, but let me just get down to the meat of the show. You had Benoit and Jericho for the first time for the IC title. They're actually part of the double main event of a pay-per-view. They definitely delivered. It was awesome finish here with Benoit going for the flying headbutt and Jericho getting the IC title up, and Benoit actually broke it up. He busted his nose open. So yeah, and Jericho got disqualified. So yeah, I really love these series of matches that Benoit and Jericho had in 2000. And then next up, you had Triple H versus The Rock. Oh man, and Stone Cold Steve Austin came out and saved The Rock from getting screwed by the McMahons. It was just an awesome moment. The Rock was just so over at the time. He actually finally defeated Triple H to win the belts, and just great, particularly in this match. Rock actually rock bottom Shane McMahon and Triple H at the same time through the announce table. That was pretty cool actually. So. All right, so let's move on to the next pay-per-view. We have Judgment Day of 2000. This is awesome. I'm going to give this show a 9.0. It was definitely that good. All killer, no filler. Very, very, very short undercard with the Iron Man match. So Edge and Christian Kurt Angle versus Too Cool and Rikishi. This is a really, really fun opener. Awesome promo between Angle, Christian, and Edge before the match. And the crowd, this crowd was just going crazy. This actually took place in Louisville, Kentucky. What was it called? Freedom Hall. That arena that's one of the best places where you can hold a wrestling show. I really believe that. Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, and Perry Saturn. Really fun technical wrestling match. Between those three guys from the Radicalz. Big Show and Shane McMahon. This is when Shane was doing that. Which way did he go? Which way did he go? He was calling himself Simba at the time. So he was him and Big Show had a feud because he thought Big Show was fat and lazy because he got eliminated first in the WrestleMania main event. So yeah, it was a fun false count anywhere match. Next up we have Benoit and Jericho submission match. This is short but sweet. Great psychology from Benoit. Benoit really dissected Jericho, and then Jericho, took off Benoit's knee brace, started hitting him in the head with it. Jericho actually did the walls of Jericho on the ropes to Benoit. Benoit was they made him look vicious in this match. Benoit just looked like he was ready to explode. He looked like he wanted to win that championship so bad at the time. The WWF title. I think Benoit was definitely ready at that time. And just a really fun submission match. Dudley's versus DX in the tables match. Just another really fun. The Dudley's got great reactions in 2000. The crowd was just going apeshit for some of their matches. And next up we had the Iron Man match. We had The Rock and Triple H. This is an awesome Iron Man match. It kept it really, really fast paced. Shawn Michaels is the referee. Triple H. This is when Triple H was the man. I mean, he just had an awesome year in 2000. Like even his promo before the match, you could definitely tell like he had just hunger just to be, one of the best. He even said before the match he wants to make history on a whole lot of levels, and he wants to do it by himself. So yeah, him and The Rock, they just have a lot of chemistry. I think Triple H and The Rock, you could just tell from their matches that they worked with each other so much at house shows, and the chemistry was there, and everything just paid off. And I thought The Rock was like super over here. I don't think Rock was ever more over than he was in this in this match. Like in the spring of 2000, I think this was like the apex of The Rock's popularity, and Undertaker's return was very, very well done. That's one of the best returns ever. It's really underrated, and the finish, people throwing trash in the ring, the whole thing just worked. It was just magical. Definitely, I would say this is the second best Iron Man match. Some people would argue that it's the best, actually. Yeah, King of the Ring 2000, probably one of the worst shows of the year, but it was still pretty fun. It was a fun tournament because of Kurt Angle. I thought Angle, if you're an Angle fan, definitely check out this show. he was really, coming into his own as far as his personality and his storylines and his character. It was just, this is when Angle was at his most entertaining as far as, that non-wrestling aspect of the business. So yeah, he actually beat Rikishi in the finals. So that was pretty fun. But, the main event was actually Kane, Undertaker, and Rock taking on Triple H and Vince and Shane McMahon. It was a fun match, but I don't know. It just felt really thrown together. It wasn't really an appealing main event. Rock actually won the belt back by pinning Vince McMahon with the rock bottom. And also this features one of Shane McMahon's sickest bumps. Taker actually chokeslammed him from the top of the turnbuckle through the table. A vicious bump. So